Welcome to episode 147, James Ratcliffe, The Birth and Growth of INEOS. This is an outline of episode 147. There are 3 reasons why we study James Ratcliffe. First, he's the second richest self-made billionaire in UK. Second, he started his business 25 years ago at the age of 40. So he is in fact the most successful UK entrepreneur in the last 25 years. Third, his company INEOS is global and reaches out as far away as the United States and China. Let us meet James Ratcliffe. He founded INEOS less than 20 years ago. He's a down-to-earth man who loves an adventure.
I met Jim and the team back in 2008, and we've done some extraordinary things around the world, and I think that sort of transcends in his business world, where he really likes pushing the limits and what is possible, and created this petrochemical company as one of the best in the world. And I think for Jim and myself, I try to surround myself with a great team. It's pretty cool to have a job where someone at the end of the day say that was the best day of your life. Organization is the key to success. The planning and preparation in anything that we do leads to success. The average trip, it takes about 7 to 10 days to do about 60 nautical or 72 statute miles. In Radcliffe fashion, we did it in 3 days.
There are a group of us that run INEOS. There are 4 of us, and I think we're a very consensus-oriented group. I certainly have my sort of approach to business, but it's shared by my colleagues, and they do say no occasionally.
James Ratcliffe was born in Manchester, England in 1952. In 1974, at the age of 22, he graduated Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from the University of Birmingham. His first job was at Esso, which is the UK branch of the American oil giant Exxon. In 1980, while working at Esso, he got his MBA from London School of Business. In 1989, at the age of 35, after 10 years as a chemical engineer, he got an offer from a venture capitalist, an American firm called Advent International. The offer tripled his salary, plus a BMW. It was an offer too good to refuse.
And then I received this phone call at about the age of 35 or 34 from some headhunter asking whether I'd be interested in going into the venture capital world. And the reason I said yes to that, apart from the fact that they were going to triple my salary and they were going to give me a better car than the chairman of Cortels was driving at the time, was which is a fact. They gave me a BMW 535i, which I was quite attractive at the time after that. I've always remembered that in my recruitment campaigns, actually. Cars talk. But I took it because, I took that role in venture capital because it sort of, I felt it would probably give me an opportunity of maybe seeing something which I might be able to do myself, which was not likely to happen in an industrial company like Cortels, where you step your way up the ladder in a sort of conventional sense.
In 1992, at the age of 40, he started his first company, INSPEC. In 1998, he sold INSPEC to Laporte and made £30 million, about 50 million US.
Bear in mind, we kicked off in 1998 when we bought this business, this Antwerp business, for about £87 million, I think it was at the time. I became, if you like, an entrepreneur, which was at the age of 40. And you had to put every penny on the table that you owned. So if it was not successful, you were going to become. I think 40 was 40 was the day that I set off on my own. And that, I'd accumulated 20 years of experience when I was 40. It'd be quite tough to set off in chemicals at the age of 25 or 30. You're just a boy, really. You'd have no experience, no knowledge, no sort of presence, really. No one would want to talk to you or listen to you, at that age. So chemicals is slightly different too.
In 1998, he partnered with John Hollywood to lead a management buyout of INSPEC Group.
I cannot find a picture of John Hollywood, but I did find many pictures of INEOS in 1998.
there was an entrepreneur at the time who was sort of interested in finding a business in chemicals, which he'd already been successful in one venture, and he was sort of 55 or something like that. And I, spent a bit of time seeing whether I could find a business for him to hop into as a chief executive, put some money in. And in the end, the two of us paired up, and we both went in. I remember talking to Advent International was the venture capital firm, talking to them about the possibility of hopping across the fence and becoming an entrepreneur rather than a venture capitalist. And they were quite, it was the biggest deal they'd ever done at the time, actually, and it turned out to be the most successful deal subsequently that they'd ever done, because I think they increased their money by about 10 or 11-fold, which is quite good in venture capital. Normally you're sort of looking at 2 or 3 times. But they just couldn't understand why anybody would want to hop over the fence into that world of risk and what have you, rather than earn a very nice salary in venture capital. But they were reasonably comfortable with it. So that's what I did. Hopped over the fence. And as far as I'm aware, I'm the only person that has ever done that in certainly Advent. It's very uncommon. It surprises me, but it's very.
Very quickly, James Radcliffe led INEOS to unprecedented growth by using high-yielding debt and buying up chemical companies from BP and ICI.
Over the next 10 years, INEOS bought a huge amount of manufacturing capacity, mainly from the oil majors, to build what is now one of the world's leading chemical companies.
In 2008, INEOS survived the global financial crisis. At one point, the banks drew out 804 million euros from its vault. In other words, INEOS was down to $0 cash.
As soon as Lehman's went down, the lights were going out in the world. It opens the doors to the vault. The banks took 804 million euros out of the vault at a time when the world was stressed, INEOS was stressed, the whole chemicals world was stressed. And what created enormous stresses in INEOS was the fact that the banks took all that cash out of INEOS in its moment of need.
Next, in 2010, INEOS left United Kingdom to Raleigh, Switzerland because of a tax dispute. This is Raleigh, Switzerland, where INEOS has its new headquarters. The amount of tax savings estimated more than £100 million a year. In 2016, INEOS returned to London and the United Kingdom. The main reason, shale gas in the United States, possibility of shale gas in Scotland. Another word for shale gas is fracking. In 2017, James Ratcliffe invented the INEOS ship. First, it is made in China. Second, it's using German technology. Third, it transports LNG, liquefied natural gas, from the United States to Great Britain.
I think the cargo tanks inside for carrying the gas, because we need to be very precise when positioning them. These vessels are like 200-meter length, and we have to be a couple of millimeters.
And that's something we've not done before. If I'm looking forward, an awful lot of our focus is going to be in the United States, where shale gas has just had this enormous impact because it provides not only cheap feedstocks, but cheap energy. Those are the sort of fundamental feedstocks for the world of chemicals. And those feedstocks now in America are a quarter of the price they are in Europe.
What have I learned today? Although INEOS is only 19 years old, James Radcliffe had led its growth into a global chemical powerhouse based on the United Kingdom and Switzerland. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave your comments and questions below. My next video will be James Radcliffe 12 Business Lessons. Wishing everyone peace and prosperity.